Now to negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and others are meeting with top Russian officials as Ukraine and Europe worry that they're being sidelined. Our senior national correspondent Terry Moran is in Washington with more. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Lindsay. This morning, President Trump is sending those top administration officials to Saudi Arabia to meet face-to-face with Russian negotiators for talks aimed at ending the war in Ukraine. But Ukraine isn't even invited to these talks, and America's European allies aren't either.
Overnight, the president's team arriving in Saudi Arabia to meet with Vladimir Putin's emissaries. Their mission, find a path to end the war in Ukraine, almost 3 years after Russia's brutal invasion began it.
We're moving along. We're trying to get a peace with Russia, Ukraine, and we're working very hard on it. It's a war that should have never started.
But there are already concerns that Russia has the upper hand in these talks. Just days ago, President Trump had a 90-minute call with Putin. He asked if the U.S. will call on Ukraine to surrender sovereign territory now held by Russia. White House Special Envoy Steve Witkoff wouldn't answer.
I'm not dismissive of the details. They're important, but I think the beginning here is trust building.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky declaring his country will not accept a deal it did not help to negotiate. And he delivered a stark warning if the U.S. pulls out of NATO.
The risk that Russia will occupy Europe is 100%.
The strains in the transatlantic alliance were front and center in Munich, where Vice President J.D. Vance stunned European leaders in a speech rebuking them for trying to suppress far-right political parties.
You cannot win a democratic mandate by censoring your opponents or putting them in jail.
Well, we've just learned that President Zelensky will be going to Saudi Arabia tomorrow. This is a pre-planned trip, and he'll be speaking only with Saudi officials, it looks like. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Marco Rubio is also continuing the Trump administration's efforts to secure peace in Gaza. Trump's proposal that the U.S. should take over Gaza and that Palestinians there should be removed and resettled is at a dead end with Arab nations. Rubio is expected to press the Saudis to offer their own alternative. Lindsay?
All right, Terry, thank you.